All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Time for another live stream, and I apologize. I have not been consistent with the live streams as I once have been. It was very, very easy to always set aside Sunday evening at 9 p.m. I'm going live and answering your questions, going over some math, doing some topics, but it always things change, and you have some kids, and then your time is very, very difficult to be able to set aside an hour for going over a live stream. So I do apologize for that, but I do want to get to your questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to add them down into the chat. And I would like to resurrect this as I'm coming through. We're going to, summer vacation. We got, things going on, and I know it's busy and not a lot of people have math questions coming up, but there are some things coming up in August that I am going to be very, very excited to let you guys know about. Some different opportunities where I will be kind of moving some live streams. I'm still going to always do these open Q&As on the main channel, but I just wanted to afford an opportunity for students that want to go a little bit deeper with their questions or answer some math specific questions, that they will have the opportunity to go ahead and post them on not only on YouTube, but other opportunities where you can have a little bit more of the time, because in reality, the time is really kind of the most important aspect for me right now. I still really, really enjoy making math videos, and I'm looking forward to continuing making some more math videos. But but I gotta be a little bit more strategic on where I'm putting these live streams, and or at least strategic with my time and how I'm going to be placing everything from on there. So hope you guys are all doing well. And Shabna, books for, in my opinion, I'm not really sure exactly what your question that you have. Do you have a question that you want some advice on questions or whatever else? I'm not really sure, but if you have any math questions or anything else coming up from the summer that you guys like some advice, I really do like going back over them. And one thing I was doing, recently is I was taking some of these and, putting them into shorts, and it was all dependent on really the questions that you guys ask. And it's funny because one of the most common questions I get asked, I think I probably made a ton of shorts, on it, is always like, how do I get better in the math class? Or how do I, do well in this class, whatever may be the case. And it's always the same advice every single time, you know, but there's also some really, really good questions that people bring to me that I really enjoy providing. And I used to do a lot where I would be have them kind of vetted first before I went, live. But I really actually just enjoy going off the cuff, and like whatever you guys provided me, then I'll just go ahead and talk and answer to the best of my ability. September, how do you prepare for math and physics Olympiad together? Well, I think you just really need to, separate your time that you're going to focus on one, and then set aside some other time that you're going to focus on the other. It can be a lot, especially for, Olympiad, training. But I really think if you can just be consistent with the time you're allocating for each, that's going to be your best bet. Set a schedule, adhere to that schedule, and be consistent with it. And I think you'll do great. Could I say the name Osman? Sure. Yes. Tell me again how I submit video suggestions. By the way, I am having a bone fracture and I'm still doing math because you. Well, awesome. Sorry to hear about the bone fracture. But so as far as the video math questions, I don't want to waste people's time with submitting math questions because I'm not going to be able to do them on these streams. It became too much. And I do have another opportunity that I'm going to be provided, but I will have that as the new school year comes up. I'll have some more information on that, because the only thing that giving you a math question or giving you an answer with the math question, the only time it makes sense is if I can respond to it immediately. And I used to be able to do that when I did my live streams every single week. I would go through sometimes 10 to like 20 questions. It would take me like hours going over them. But I just don't think YouTube is the correct platform for that. I want to make sure I can provide you guys value and get you like a timely response. So I'm going to have some more information coming up on that. But for these live streams, it's much easier and faster for me to be able to just answer questions that come through on the chat. So if it's around mathematics or around learning or education, whatever else, put them down in the chat and I will respond to them. But if it's actually like a math problem or, something like that, I'll have some more information coming up, because I think I have over like 100 math problems that people have sent to me. And I'm like, I mean, I can do a live stream, but it's like, it really is only helpful if you submit it and you get help with it immediately from that point, not like a month later, right? So that's where I kind of made that decision. is differential equations hard? It all depends on your foundation. I think if you have a strong calculus foundation, you will find that differential equations is not any more difficult than what you've already done before. But if you are a little bit weak in your math, or you really didn't learn what you needed to learn, then yeah, you might still struggle with differential equations. So I would just make sure that you go back through the Calc 1, Calc 2, make sure you have a strong foundation, and I think you'll be okay. Sorry, I meant International Mathematics Olympiad. Well, I'm not sure what you are looking at from my advice from on there. I mean, those are math competitions. Am I not correct? Am I not incorrect? And you're just going to prepare for both of them separately, but at the same time. So I'm not sure what exactly specific you're looking for difference. I mean, I've never gone for the Mathematics Olympiad, so I don't have any direct knowledge from on there. But if you have something a little bit more specific or you want me to touch on, then let me know. Well, you're just going to subtract the numerators, keep the denominator same. So therefore, you'll have a -1/5. Pythagoras theorems and tags are a bit tricky. Yeah, but everything takes practice. Put some practice, put some time, put some application into it. And I promise you, the more that you go over things and like apply them, the easier things can be. So everything is difficult when you first learn it, but the more that you do it, the easier things become, right? Look back onto fractions, right? You might have looked back at the fraction problem and be like, oh, I know how to do that. But yeah, but when you're first learning it, it can be confusing. It takes time. So make sure you're putting in the effort, and then you'll look back a year from now and you'll be like, oh, that stuff was so easy. How can I even believe I was still struggling on that, right? It's all perspective. So put in the work, put in the time, and trust me, you look back and you'll be like, that stuff was easy. Student athlete here. How do you recommend making time to study for math while playing sport and other subjects? Well, that was me to a T. I mean, all through high school, I played football, wrestling, and baseball. So my time was always filled up with sports. And if it wasn't on the weekends, even between sports, you're always doing postseason or you're doing preseason. Like I remember maybe I would have a week that would be off throughout the whole year. So I was constantly doing it. I think the most important thing is like you have to understand when you have meets, when you're able to do things. One of my best times for me to be able to do work was early in the morning. And it was something because my mom was a math teacher. And so she woke up really, really early and would like be grading papers and stuff like that. And, as a student athlete, you just don't have time in the evenings. I mean, you're going to practice, you're doing meets and all that kind of stuff. And you get home and you just want to eat as much food as possible and then pass out, right? You don't have enough time to go through all the studying and everything else you can. However, try to carve out time in the morning and then also be realistic. Like you have long bus rides, you have time inside your meets. I remember wrestling meets, I would be doing work inside the stands. Like, yeah, have fun with your teammates and enjoy things, right? But in the same respect, like understand you have a job as a student athlete. So when you know you have things that you need to do, carve out some time and do it. Even when you are traveling or before or after the meets, like just do little chunks of time. But I think it's really important just knowing your schedule, knowing when you can do things, and trying to be as knowledgeable as how long things are going to take, and just putting the effort. But yeah, it is a balancing effort with your time. It is very difficult, but it's actually something very, very helpful if you can be able to figure it out, because that's going to serve you later in life. Yes, I do. You'd have to just go to my playlists and look at them. Excuse me. They're not going to be labeled as indices. They'll be labeled as radicals. But yeah, if you go on my playlist, I have a lot of videos on that stuff. Oh, why is that so big? Let's bring it down a little bit. All right. Sorry, I'm interested in math and physics, relatively towards physics, but here in India, parents are crazy about computer science, engineering, and probably force me to do it. Now, best course to do now. I think you got to play around with it, right? You gotta weigh the options of what is it you enjoy doing, but then also what is going to be applicable for you to, be able to have something to continue doing. And I think having a mathematics or a physics degree is going to give you the most versatility possible in the future job market. Whereas a computer science degree is going to be, definitely going to give you something very wanted now. And I think that is very important. And I think, as your parents, that's what they're looking out for you. They don't want you to get something that you're not going to be able to immediately be marketable for. But I think I don't think you can really go wrong with whatever decision you decide to make. So I would just have a conversation with them, have a conversation with your professors, and just really kind of dig in and kind of feel like, what do you feel is the best decision for you? Because I don't think there is a right or a wrong in there. And I can see the perspective from your parents, and I can see, some benefits of, where you're looking just with math or physics in general. There's a lot of positives in both directions. So it's not a decision I can make for you. I think it's just something that you're going to have to toy with and kind of make a decision and roll with it. I mean, any calculus course that you've taken, or there's online calculus courses. There's a lot of YouTube, educators that have calculus videos on Calc 1 and Calc 2. I would just kind of go back through it. I'm assuming you've already taken the course. Even go back through your previous material, working through some of the stuff, making sure that you just have that strong foundation. Whatever may be the best for how you feel that you're going to learn best, I would just start from there. Yes, I took the ACT or the SAT. Yeah, the SAT. I don't remember what my score was. Everybody always asks, like, what was your score? It wasn't good. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was like average. But I never really took it that seriously, to be honest with you. And that's not an excuse for saying like I didn't have a great score, because I don't even remember what my score was. I just remember it was like average. Like it wasn't great. It was just average, and maybe even below average, to be honest with you. But I didn't really study for it. I didn't do any courses, whatever else for it. I just kind of let the chips fall where they be. And I just was like, take it once. And then I think I got into my university of choice after that point, and I was like, okay, I'm good with it. Like I wasn't I didn't have the stress that I feel like a lot of students have now of getting into highest scores, getting into the university. Like I had a decision where I wanted to go. I got a good enough score to get in, and I was kind of good with it. That was just, I think, part of the sign of the times and part my personality. I'm in eighth grade. I'm in eighth grade. I already have finished books about algebra. Should I read college algebra or pre-calculus or trigonometry? I mean, yeah. If you want to further explore, mathematics, and you feel like you've already built up a strong foundation in algebra, like go as fast as you need to go, right? I mean, that's part of the problem with our educational system is it teaches to the masses, right? It doesn't accentuate the individual. I don't think you need to feel rushed into pursue pre-calculus and trigonometry, especially being in eighth grade, like, or even freshman year. Like, give yourself time, enjoy things and whatever else. But if you have a passion for learning and you want to continue going on, like, go for it. Don't let anything hold you back. Just know that it's not a race, right? So just go at your speed that you feel is going to be comfortable for you, that you still enjoy what you're doing. But don't rely on pressure if maybe somebody else is doing it better or faster than you, or your parents are put on pressure. Like, go at your own speed. And if that means continuing your education at a faster pace than those around you or going to upper level courses, awesome. Kudos to you, right? It's just not meant for everybody. And I just don't want you to feel the pressure of that's why you're doing it. I want you to do it for yourself. What is the hardest math equation or unit for you? I don't remember the math equation or a math equation that's hard. I mean, there's, of course, as you're a teacher or somebody that's taken a lot of math, you're going to encounter a lot of hard math problems. I talk about the abstract algebra was one of the hardest courses I took. I wasn't prepared for it. I thought it was going to be like an easy course, and ended up, it was one of those courses that it just took me a long time for me to like understand the concepts that were in that course. So, as far as units go, I don't know. I mean, the upper level math was difficult, even in, trying to think of something even smaller that I really had difficulty with, but I would say a lot, a lot I had difficulty with, and you just got to work through it, and give yourself time. I think that's the hardest thing that people sometimes struggle with, is like, they don't understand something at the beginning, but the more time and effort you put into things and the more practice you put into things, the easier things get. You got to have perspective. And, things are hard, things are difficult, but put in the work, put in the effort, and you'll look back and you'll understand that, wow, that wasn't that bad, right? But it's all perspective. It's all when you first learn things, you're going to have that struggle. So just keep moving forward, keep on putting in the work, and you'll be okay. I was okay. I mean, I survived. Are you subscribed to YouTube channels like Math Sorcerer and Black Pen Ribbon? Yes, of course. I don't know them personally, but I love their math channels. I think they produce great content, um, and yeah, I really like what they're doing for the math community. I think it's important to support each and every one of those, math channels. For any of you that are not familiar with Math Sorcerer or Black Pen Red Pen, like, go ahead and subscribe. They have great, amazing channels. And I think it's really important to improve math education and to improve math understanding, that people have perspective of different ways that people are going to approach mathematics as well as education in general. So definitely check them out and subscribe. I am I don't know, IM2 student. What do you recommend for studying for IM3? Because I don't know what is on it. I have no idea. I don't even know what IM2 or IM3 are. So I would find some coursework or some study guides or something online. I guarantee if you probably Google search something on there, you're going to have something that somebody's hopefully produced and put online. And I would start from there. There might be some stuff on YouTube as well. I'm not familiar with those courses, so I have no idea. But go and do some research. Do your own prep work. And then obviously the best thing you can always do besides doing your own prep work is to reach out to your professor, reach out to your teacher that's teaching. Like, what are some materials that you have that I can start to do to get prepared? That's really, really helpful. And especially even if you took IM2, let's say you can't find anything and you don't even know who your teacher or professor is, go back through IM2, go back through the stuff, go back, look over your notes, look over your exams, look over your tests, look over your quizzes, get reviewed. I have a video coming up about over the summer. That's something you should be constantly reviewing. Don't forget that information. IM2 and IM3, they're connected, right? So a lot of the stuff in IM3 is going to be based on your knowledge of what you learned in IM2. So make sure you review and practice that stuff. Very, very important. I don't really have a favorite math philosopher. That might sound weird coming from a math teacher, but I don't know. I remember when I was in college, we did a lot of studying and looking at people that went through mathematics, and I remember having like the fascination with them and what they went through. But it hasn't been something that I remember or on my research, so I won't be able to give you a kind of name. It's not something that I overly study, I guess you say in that point. But yeah, I don't have a favorite. Kind of weird, I guess. Maybe I should look into some. Thank you. I'll do that. Is it possible to learn everything in math, like every single topic? It's weird how you say learn, because math is so expansive. One thing I was talking to some people about is, like, the scariest thing that I've learned about math is the more that you know, the more that you realize you don't know. And it's a very, very scary thing. It's kind of like the universe. Like, you look into the sky and you're like, oh, I can see all of our stars. And then we take like a satellite out, and then we recognize, holy crap, there's all these other galaxies out there with billions of universes and planets and everything else. It's like, the farther you go out, the more you start to explore and see. And I very much compare that with mathematics. Like, if you have a very basic understanding of mathematics, you think, oh, like, I can know everything that I've been taught in elementary school or high school. And it's, math is not very applicable to real life. And, it's just kind of this boring, boring struggle, for me. And then you get into, college mathematics, into calculus and beyond. And then you start seeing how things are being applied, and how actually they start to, all that foundational stuff that you learned is actually a part of why certain things are the way they are around the world. And you're like, holy crap, that's amazing things. And then you start even taking more upper level courses. And then you're like, your mind just becomes blown. You're like, oh, there's so much more out there. And then you see all these other math courses that are going in deeper and deeper stuff. And it's like, it actually hurts your brain to think about all the other math out there. So is it possible to learn all the mathematics? I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think you can learn a lot by just constantly being invested and constantly studying mathematics. But, there's so much math out there, and like, the sky's the limit. You know, it's almost like approaching infinity, I would even say. So to actually say that you know everything on math or to learn everything, I think that's a tough proposition to um, kind of convince me on. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe let me know. I actually have a 5-step video on that. That'd probably be easiest to go into. But if you want some quick little tips, I'll try to give you some best quick little tips for graphing rational expressions. The first thing I would recommend do is find the holes, find the vertical asymptotes. Then find the horizontal asymptotes or slant asymptotes. So first you got to identify the discontinuities and the asymptotes, holes, whatever may be the case. Then identify the x and the y intercepts, and then plot all that information. Then once you've plotted all that information, go pick a test point to the left and to the right of each and every discontinuity or asymptote, and then start plugging in those points and graph it. You can look at symmetry, can sometimes be helpful for you, or knowing if it's an even or an odd function. But yeah, it can be a lengthy process depending on the rational expression that you're working with. But I do have a video for it, so I'd recommend checking that out. Actually, I have a lot of videos on it. Is it normal to get stuck solving a problem? Is it normal to get stuck solving a problem for long? Yeah, of course. I took math before there was phones and the internet. I mean, we had the internet, but it wasn't like the internet that it is today. You didn't go online, Google searching, looking for the solution to a math problem. You were left with a textbook and you had to try to figure things out by looking at the examples that were provided to you. And so I would spend hours, I remember trying to figure out math problems and it just wouldn't come to me. Like you had to really think through it. And a part of me, it's sad because I really think the human brain needs those struggles to help you be able to make the connections to be able to solve math. And of course, you can't say like there's no like you want to take away the benefit of the internet or chat GPT or your phones to be able to solve math. Like that's amazing breakthrough that we can do this now and get it right at your fingertips. But it also kind of scares and saddens me that we've taken away that struggle that our brain truly needs to help us be able to problem solve. And I don't have a great solution for this, but yeah, I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out math problems. And then sometimes they came to me and then sometimes I couldn't, but I would think about them the next day and the next day. And then I'd maybe get help. And then like, oh, it opened my eyes. But guess what? Then I never made that same struggle. I wouldn't say never, but like I became a better math student from that struggle. And so I think it's important to let yourself struggle. I think it's important to have those frustrations and to work through problems and not just to immediately go to YouTube or online and try to find your answer. Once you get that first instance of like, I don't understand or I don't know what to do. So yeah, it's okay to struggle. I went to Western Michigan University. I am from Zambia. I'm asking for, let me put it like this. There we go. I'm from Zambia. I am asking for a video on binomial for A-level. I'm not sure I have the right video for you, but if you search my channel, then you might find something that would be good, I would assume. What's the best method to study for math? When I concentrate on theory and illustration sums, I like questions practice and vice versa. Please guide. Yeah, it's a balance. You have to be able to look at notes and you have to put things into application. You got to do both, right? You just can't like study the notes and the illustrations and read the theorems and everything like that. But then you also just can't like do practice problems. So I think it's really important to have a balance between both. One thing I tell students all the time is like, when you are studying for a math test, set it out like by 4 weeks. And I actually have a video on this where I go in more detail. And what I'm talking about is to, you creating a cheat sheet, going over those notes, those illustrations, those definitions, the theorems, put them on a sheet of paper, spend time reviewing them each and every day, but then also spend time going back, working over problems from a study guide or problems that you previously did on homework and tests and quizzes. You got to have that balancing act. And I think it's really, really important to help you better understand the information is to continually be doing that over and over throughout the year, and especially as you have coming up for an upcoming assessment. I used to hate maths, but now I am kind of taking interest in it. What should I do to make maths look less scary? Thanks. Well, I think you're turning the corner, and I think that's great. I think you need to just find what you enjoy and keep on doing it, you know? I mean, like math can be scary and that's okay. Like not everything is going to be this fun, great class. Like I've had great classes where I love the professor, I love the content that we were learning. And then I've had other ones where I'm like, this is just boring. I hate this. Like statistics. I hate statistics. I had a great teacher. There was nothing that really interests me in it, but I finished the course, right? I got through it. Um, and like that's the beauty of mathematics. Once you're able to finalize or build up that foundation, you start to see there's so much more, topics out there in mathematics that you really get to grow an affinity for. Like, oh, I really want to dive deeper into this, right? I don't really care so much about that, but I really want to go into this level. So, you know, put in the work, continue on, having fun with it, whatever, however that was, coming about. But, math is beautiful. And I tell students all the time, I didn't really love mathematics. Like I had an interest in it, but I didn't really love mathematics until I really started getting into upper level mathematics. Like the foundational stuff in high school and, middle school, like it was boring to me. But once I had that foundation and I was able to grow and actually understand stuff and get into upper level courses, and I really started to see the beauty of mathematics, that's where it got ever more exciting for me. And maybe that might be something relatable to you. I don't know. But I really do believe like the more math you learn, the more interesting it becomes. Do you have any advice on developing a teacher persona where you can explain concepts to other clearly and simply? Well, I think I forgot the quote, or like you explain it to like a second grader, whatever, like you can explain anything. Um, I think there's some truth, to that. And I think one of the things that is difficult when teaching people mathematics is you have a very strong understanding of why things work. And you have to understand, like when people are learning things, they have to connect them to what they understand. So you take something you understand and you have to connect it to something you don't understand. So once you already understand something, you kind of forget what it is the people don't understand. And so I think that's really important when teaching somebody a new concept or going over some basic. Always start with those fundamentals, like making sure that you have a foundation of like, okay, you understand this most basic information, right? And maybe it can be an analogy, but you always want to start with something that everybody agrees, like, I understand this. A lot of times in my lessons, I would always start with something very, very basic, like, hey guys, I'm not jumping over here. Like, you guys understand this basic, maybe connection or relationship. Like, we have this. And then it's the job as a teacher to be able to build them to scaffold that up to that current material. So you're always trying to make those, more current connections to that most fundamental thing into what you're currently teaching. And I think the purpose of using the, second grade or toddler analogy is just keeping things simple, right? And keeping things simple with your vocabulary, what you're trying to make people under, understand with your language. You don't want to overcomplicate things, not until they have been able to make those connections and understanding. And then I think you can elaborate a little bit more on that. So hopefully that was helpful. Hey, that's awesome. Congrats to you. You're very welcome. I do have a math course. I am going to be coming up with some more math courses, but right now I just have a pre-calculus course that you can go and see at brianmclogan.com if you are interested in pre-calculus. I always make mistakes in the easier part rather than the harder parts of math. Is this normal? I feel like that's illegal. Hey, guess what? I was just making a video, or I was actually doing a video today, and guess what I did? It was 4x equals 8. I divided by 2 on both sides. I got x equals 4. What? It's like, it was just me talking. Like there was literally an 8-minute video, and the last 30 seconds, that was the mistake I made. And you might be like, what? Come on. Like, what's happening here? And it was just, I had a brain fart, right? I've had brain farts ever since I was in middle school, in high school. Like, it happens. It's normal. What I have found that helps me out is to slow down. And it's very difficult when I am teaching because I'm talking and writing at the same time. So my brain is, bouncing back and forth. And it's very easy for me to be able to make mistakes. But it was true even when I was in high school. I'd make these very simple mistakes. So I can relate with you. It's not illegal. It's totally normal. Don't beat yourself over it. Just understand that you are capable of that, of making those minor mistakes. So always try to make sure you can set enough time to go back and check your work, as well as to try to slow down and, check your work mid-work just to make sure that you're not having those little brain farts. And that was something I wasn't self-conscious about until like later years in high school. And once I was just, or not self-conscious, yeah, well, self-conscious, self-aware of, but once I really became self-aware of that, when I took tests, my testing scores did improve. So I'd recommend that to you as well. What are ways to prep for a major exam? Soon to write my O levels. Not sure about the O levels, but yeah, I think you need to set 4 weeks apart, 4 weeks before you start taking your test, and start going over the old tests, the old quizzes, the old homework. Redo problems you got right, problems you got wrong. Like go over that stuff. Create a cheat sheet of all the theorems, the definitions. Review that each and every day. And I think it's just being consistent, marking out time that you're going to study, spend your time studying there, and being consistent with it. And then as you get closer and closer to your test, start allocating more time, practicing problems and reviewing the content. And as well, best of luck. Do you have advice on how to deal with a bad teacher? Yeah, I mean, you're not always going to have the best teacher, right? That's just reality. That's life. Okay. So I don't want to sugarcoat this and as you to think that you deserve to always have a great teacher. You're not all people are humans. People learn differently. Teachers teach differently, right? So you're not always going to meet with your teacher. So let's just assume you're not able to understand this teacher, work well with them. Here are a couple things. One, have a conversation with them. Not you don't teach the way last year's teacher taught, so I can't be in your class. But no, you got to understand, you got to learn from them. Learn from what their goals are, what they're planning on how they approach the course. Learn from that. So therefore you can adjust, because it's your job as a student to be able to adjust to the course that you are currently taking. And guess what? Every course is going to be different. Every job that you have, every business that you decide to open up, you're going to have challenges. So this is just a challenge you need to work through. Always start with communication with the instructor. You're not blaming them because they're bad. I mean, maybe they are a bad human. I don't know, but more likely than not, that's not always the case. But one, I would open up communication with them. And then two, a lot of times that might not solve it, right? You're going to still have this impasse. You're going to have this struggle. So guess what? Find another teacher that can, professor that you can work with. Find another study group that you can overcome that. I had a teacher one time. He wasn't a bad teacher, but I didn't really understand him. He kind of moved very, very quickly. So I went to another teacher, for some office hours to learn and understand. He was a little bit condescending, and I didn't really have a good connection with him. I wouldn't say he was a bad teacher, but he didn't work for me. Right. So I found time and reached out even to another teacher to help me understand some of those concepts. And it just worked out. It got me by that year. And so I don't want you to always feel like once you struggle with a teacher, just to give up and find somebody else, because I got that a lot from students when they would join my class. Like, oh, you don't teach like last year's teacher, or we're not on the same page. And a lot of times it took me having a conversation with those students for them to understand how I was approaching my instruction, how I was approaching my class, for them to understand them, for them to change, because I'm going to teach it differently the way that the last year's teacher taught. Right. And that's okay. But you have to make adjustments. And once you make adjustments and you understand the way that I'm approaching things, more often than not, that was enough for you to be successful in my class. But a lot of times it did, kind of create a rift at the beginning of the year, because students are like, oh, this course is too hard for me, or you're too hard of a teacher, or, we don't get along, so I want to get out of this class. And so I always say that having communication first is the most important. I have AP Calculus AB next year. Any tips for success? Do problems, do math problems, right? Stay on top of the work. Don't fall behind. AP Calc is fast-paced course, very fast-paced. So make sure you're always staying on top of the stuff. And then once you start getting to a current level where you can start doing practice exams, do practice as many as possible. So hopefully the teacher is going to provide you with a lot of them. I would recommend even finding some more and practicing. But best of luck. If you start to struggle, make sure you reach out to your teacher or friends and, get a study group, work with them. Don't feel like you have to do math alone. You're competing against yourself, not others. So work with people to help you understand the information and get your work done. Awesome. Did you ever take abstract algebra? Yes, I did take abstract algebra. I do not remember taking fractal geometry. Sir, can I get your opinion on a project? Maybe. Let's see. For the project, I have to create a game to help students learn or practice concepts in calculus, but which? An interactive, PowerPoint, website, board game. I'm not really sure. I think I would, I mean, advice, I would probably start with something that you feel is going to be the least time intensive for you to be able to create. I mean, you could go through a lot of approaches here. But you know, can I get I have to create a game to help students learn or practice concepts. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably go with not so much like the least resistance, but something that is manageable, right? That's not going to overly take over too much time of just creating the foundations. Now, I guess what I'm trying to say is you want to be able to design something that's not going to take more time than it would take for the math portion, right? Because it's about calculus. It's about learning. Like, focus on that. The tool that you're going to be using to deliver that should not be taking up so much of that time. So whatever that is for you, PowerPoint, website, or board game, that's like the easiest for you to create, I would go with that. I don't know what to write, but I thank God. And I thank you for helping me in my lessons in mathematics. Well, you're very welcome. Because of you, I have always get a full mark in math. I am AREP student from RAC. Well, thank you very much for the kind words, and I'm so happy to be able to help you out. And thank you for writing to me. I appreciate that. I'll just say one of your lessons saved my life because I was about to fail math, and I pulled a fat 8 to keep up to teach. Awesome. Well, good for you. Keep working hard. I'm so happy my video helped you out, and I appreciate that. Is this one of those viral math problems? Always work the inside in, parentheses, 1 plus 2 is going to be 3. Then you're going to work from division to multiplication. You're going to work from left to right. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 3 is going to be a 9er. How does calculus and linear algebra tie together? I don't even remember the core concepts from my linear algebra class. So I don't remember the topics that we had for the linear algebra, but there's always going to be a relationship. There's always. What do I think about India? I don't know. I love India. I don't know any, never been there. So don't have anything else, I guess, positive or negative to say, but I would love to visit. I really would. But my question, okay, maybe as successful as you in math, as my math girl. Wait, but my question is maybe as successful. May I, maybe? I don't know. Yes, you definitely can be successful in math. Everybody can be successful in math. I think it's a tragedy that so many students quit math before they are able to taste that level of success in math. And part of it is because we've created a culture where students don't have the desire to continue like learning mathematics. It's just kind of put off as like a topic that you just learn and then you just move on and then go and explore everything else. But I really do wish more students could have the opportunity to learn the beauties of mathematics. And hopefully that's something that can change. I don't know. I've never taught it. I've only seen some problems from papers that students have sent to me, but I know I get a lot of comments on it. So I would like to explore more of it, but I'm just not familiar with it. I'm in calc for the summer. Thank you for all the videos that are straight to the point. I watch every day. Well, awesome. So happy to be able to help you out. No, I'm just not a big fan of soccer. I don't know. I mean, I played soccer all the way till like 6th grade. And then I started playing football, wrestling, and baseball. And then I played rugby. And, I don't know. Soccer's just never been a sport that I've overly gotten into. I don't know what it is. It's just not me. How do I focus on studying when very addicted to gaming? Reward yourself. Maybe you got to be able to turn things on, turn things off. I think that's just a reality of life. You're like, how am I going to do anything if I'm addicted to gaming? Like, no matter what, even if you are making money from gaming and it's your lifetime blood, like you still have to have balance in life. So find some time to separate yourself from gaming, to separate yourself to do anything, if it's math or anything else, and find balance. And maybe find some rewards that you're like, hey, if I go and spend 2 hours or an hour or 30 minutes doing this, I'm going to allow myself to play for an hour. But I think if you can just be structured with gaming, give yourself a time on and time off, then that can just be helpful. And put in some non-negotiables and put in some rewards for yourself. So therefore you can be consistent with that, because we know just in gaming, you're going to be, oh crap, I'm like, I said I was going to stop in a minute, but I'm like, no, I got to get to this next level, or I'm almost there. Like, I want to keep on playing. Like, you got to be consistent and follow through. Do you think math is God's language? I don't know. Actually, to be honest, I would probably have to think about that more before I would respond from there. But math is beautiful. It's all in the world. And I can see how God and math could be intersected in a question like that. But I'm not sure how I would respond to God's language in that. That's an interesting question. How are some good ways to remember how to solve any math? Well, it's difficult. You can approach math problems in many, many different ways. I think one thing that I tell students when they're creating a cheat sheet is like, yeah, write out how you solve that problem. Like, write it down, and then you can always go back and reference it, right? So, because you do forget how to sometimes approach a certain math problem a certain way. So if it is unique or something you're like, man, I totally never going to remember this, like, write it down on a cheat sheet, on a sheet of paper, and keep like a big stack of them. So therefore you kind of have that as a good reference material. Because reality, if you do it once or if you do it, twice, you might not remember it. But if you have something where it's like this, stack of paper, this cheat sheet that you can always go back and reference, it's going to be easier for you. As a math teacher, even from year to year, I would forget how to do things. So I always had to go back and like sometimes go back and review. Oh, how did I do this again? Oh, yeah. And then boom, I jump right into it and I'd be good for the rest of the lesson. But you forget things, right? We're humans. Unless you're doing something every day every day in and out, like, you're going to forget things. So I think it's always good to make sure you're doing good notes and keeping a good reference cheat sheet. Starting to plan calculus. What are some prerequisites that are crucial in starting? I think I was going to say exponents, rules of exponents, rational expressions would be very, very important. Exponential, logarithmic equations, going over those properties, trig, verifying, knowing your unit circle and all that kind of stuff. I think all the stuff from pre-calculus is very, very important. And that's why it's called pre-calculus, So I would definitely focus on exponential, logarithmic, rational expressions, polynomial functions, trigonometry. Getting a good review of all that stuff will get you prepared. All I'm doing is I have a board that has glass on it. I write on it, and then I flip the screen when I edit. So I'm writing with my right hand, but then I flip it and it looks like my left. So that's how it works. I feel like math is useless and nonsense. I don't know how they say you're going to use them in engineering. Yeah, of course you use it in engineering. And most math is not going to be applicable for everybody in their real day life. It's true. But I think there's something important. It's like, the more you know of something, the better you just understand everything else. And it's so true in mathematics. The stronger of a foundation you have, I think the easier it is to be able for you to understand how other things work. And so, yes, you're not going to use the grocery store and be able to use verifying trigonometric identities. I get it. But I truly believe having a strong mathematical foundation will serve you of being able to have a strong understanding of whatever you decide to continue your education in or to explore as an occupation. Truly believe that. I don't know if that's a dig against me or what, but maybe yes or no. Is there any hacks to solve linear equations? I need to ask for mock exams tomorrow. No, I mean, I wouldn't say there's any tricks from there. I would just practicing. Yeah, having some mock exam would be a great start. Nope, not really so much. No, never really took any coding or anything like that. So I don't know. It's just never something I was like extremely interested in. So didn't. I started teaching in August of 2007, and I stepped away in August of 2021. No, 2022. Yeah, 2022. Do you think a mathematics degree is good considering the fact that most even STEM careers don't require complex math because computers already do it? Yeah, I think a math degree is still something that is very, very important for us to be able to continue investing in society. Because math is computers are going to be able to compute math always better than a human at a more efficient time and everything else. But we have to understand the math that goes into our computers and to AI. And we have humans driving that innovation. And so I think it is really, really important. And I think having a math degree, it can be very versatile, and for many, many different occupations or business in general. So yes, I would still say having a general math degree is very strong and important. And I think you can do a lot with it. You are very welcome. I hate these YouTubers who never read the messages from the people messages. Yeah, I know. They're so annoying. They just go live and they actually don't read people's messages. I hate that. What do you think the limit to self-studying math? At what point does a topic absolutely require a professor's guidance instead of self-learning through videos and books? It all depends. Some people can learn stuff all on their own. Some people don't even need to go to class and they can just learn it, right? Watch a video and they're good on it. It's all dependent. Some people need a day instructor, so not even a teacher. They need like a tutor next to them every single day teaching them. So it all depends. There is no limit on what the material is. It just depends on the student and where they're at and what they need. You got to start with the basics. Start with the most basic fundamental identities, practicing them, and then build up from there. All right. I'm telling you, the more problems you do, the more practice you put in, like 100 problems. Think about that. Imagine doing 100 practice trigonometric identities. You might scoff at me, but like, oh, heck no, there's no way I can do that many. Start very basic and start working up. I think actually I have a worksheet that's like, I made my students do, it'd be like 73. And I'll just tell them, I guarantee you, if you do all of these problems on this worksheet, you're never going to complain to me about how do I solve a trigonometric identity? Like, trust me, do these problems. It's boring. It is not fun. It's going to take you about 30, 45 minutes because they're mostly basic identities. But I'm telling you, you do this, you're not going to struggle with trigonometric identities. That's my challenge to you. How should I sit for my math final? Very, very easy. Make sure that you go back through your tests, your quizzes, your homework, your notes, review all that stuff. Take the most important stuff that you can take from each and every one of those, put them on a sheet of paper. We call that the cheat sheet. Review that cheat sheet every single day. Do practice problems. Maybe your teacher gave you a study guide. Like, do problems each and every day. The farther you are out, probably spend about 15 to 30 minutes every single day. The closer you get to your exam, start doing that for an hour every single day. And just work your way, ramping up, be consistent, and reviewing all this stuff. And you will see how much easier it is on your test or exam. No, I'm not sure on that one. Hi, I'm in grade 11th, previously at, I'm in grade 11th, previously at GD school and moved up to IEB school in March this year. So how do I score as well on exams as I do in relation to my knowledge in class, but an issue even before moving? Not 100% sure. I'm going to previously at GD school and I moved to an IEB school March. So how do I score as well in exams as I do in relation to my knowledge in class? I don't know. I mean, the same way that you, put in the work, reach out to your teacher or professor, like get a study group and like put in the work. And I think you'll be okay. Yes, I have a ton of I have a whole section on pre-calculus and I also have a pre-calculus channel. I'll be coming, that I post pre-calculus, exclusive pre-calculus content as well. So I would definitely check those out. But if you go to my main channel, you'll see pre-calculus. I basically have a whole course provided on there. Put in the work. Put in the work. You can do it. It's for pre-calculus, but my professor is insane. What is your favorite math type? I don't know. I really love proofs. Kind of boring. I know. Kind of weird, but I really enjoyed it. And I really love trig. Trig identities and all that kind of stuff. I just love the puzzle aspect of things. So I don't know. That was me. But anyways, guys, I have to go and run. Happy Father's Day for all of you fathers out there that are checking in on this stream. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you guys hopefully next week. Cheers.